So this is a walkthrough of my song "The Quiet's Gone" from the album "Forever My Heart." I had someone ask me how I got the sounds I did, and was kind of asking me for a rundown of how to recreate it, or how it sounds so good for a home recording, which is really cool because, man, I'm working on a shoestring budget at best. I've put together everything I can over a number of years now, it's really I'm in a very, very small unsound treated room, which is definitely not the preferred method of making music for a lot of people, just because there's a lot of not post-processing, but there's just a lot more work going into trying to make it sound good, because it sounds real bad easily. This room is really boxy, so yeah, it doesn't sound great, but I'm okay with that. I mean, it's working just fine for what I need it to do. So anyway, if you don't know who I am, then I don't know why you're here, but welcome. I'm Noah T. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I record a bunch of music in my house and just release it on iTunes, Spotify, noahtmusic.com. For the most part, I release instrumental music just because I've always been drawn to it. However, I'll release more singer-songwriter, kind of pop-leaning stuff just whenever I'm ready to, whenever I've built up enough tracks to do that. So, off the top of my head, I didn't really know how I had done this track, so I thought it would be a little bit easier to just kind of jump into the session. I'm a Reason user. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the info of this to kind of put what I do in here, just so in case anyone else stumbles across this. Yep. So this is The Quiet's Gone, or at least the bass line from it. And this, this was a really, really personal song for me. I don't even really want to jump into what's up with it, and that's fine. Let's listen real quick just to the whole track. It's a relatively short track. It's 2.5 minutes. So let me start right in the middle of it and mess that all up. Here you go.
Us all so closely till our youth was gone, to hold and keep us closer till the air was gone. Don't you think I'll notice the world kept moving on. I know that the quiet's gone, that the quiet's gone. You live like contradiction and held it in my face. I hate it so, but I don't know how to let it go. I know to let it go.
All right. So, well, all right. It looks like it's still connected. Just got a little blip there. Okay. All right. So there's that. Overall, it's a relatively simple song. I ended up having the music for this probably a year-ish before the words or melody or anything, and that was just yeah. So let me. So these right here, I've been playing around with the delay, and just really liked how this simple, just kind of back and forth sounded, just bounced around like that. And there we go. That's probably a little better. So I really enjoyed how just this guitar part sounded, and I ended up breaking and looping these up to where for a lot of the songs I end up doing, I'll just break them up into little segments by measure, and then have them kind of overlap each other a little separately, just to not make it sound like you're listening to a loop and a loop and a loop. So these guys are just a little offset, so their loop actually begins before that loop starts. So then you got the chorus of it, and then come back to half-length verse. So it's basically double verse, chorus, verse, verse, which makes for a little vocal interestingness because I run the chorus over into that second half verse, which effectively makes it a quarter verse. So this right here, this is what I had for about a year or so. I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work, but I just liked how it felt. So this right here, the main guitar, that is just one echo unit in Reason. So it's just a real simple, thankfully I could use the delay live, so I was able to get the timing of it right, but really just a very simple guitar part, but in this case, that was mic'd with a Shure KSM 27, which is just my go-to large diaphragm condenser. I've used it on everything. If I'm using a large diaphragm condenser, it's a KSM 27 because that's the only large diaphragm condenser. In this case, that's probably what it was like arm's reach. You can't really see my hand, I don't think. Anyway, basically like forward to the left, probably about arm's reach up. So that was pointed down towards my guitar because the room I was in when I recorded that was kind of like an A-frame. It's a converted attic. So the upper, like from the knee wall up, was really bouncy, but it was all carpeting and just a really dead sound. So I figured I would just, basically aim and go for none of the reflection above and only the dead. And, not being as direct, it doesn't stand out all that much in the mix, which is great because it's also, behind this reverb or echo that really fills it out. And because it's so simple, the echo doesn't make it too busy, just sort of makes it a good bass line. And then that thump, again, just left the I'm pretty sure I actually just duplicated the same track, or not track, but the same echo device. Excuse me. Yeah, those settings are all the same. Gosh, yeah, so the thump on the left and then the slap on the right has been treated more with other stuff, but so this thump is just echo. So that's me just thumping on it. Now this is also gated. You can hear that gate kick in because it's just room noise. So just took the room noise out of there while the while the thumps weren't happening. Again, that was just in blocks basically. So I just have that running through the entire song. Yeah. So the slap, as I call it, that's also just thumping on my guitar. That may have been DI'd. Let me get in there and look at it. Let's hear it without. No, that's not DI'd. That was with the mic also. So yeah, all three of these come from the same source essentially. So what I did was I layered the echo through a reverb, then into a different reverb, then compressed it all to just blast it out, basically. I didn't really want any subtlety to it. I don't know why I doubled the reverbs. I just wasn't getting anything long enough. I had these trails on the echo, and that was getting there, but then I decided to just hit them all. So we had the short echoes, then the reverbed short echoes, then reverbing all the reverbed short echoes. Now, I probably could have gone in and gated that. I just never did because the reverb kind of smears all the room noise, and after compressing it all, I can live with how that sounds. Because it was exactly what I was going for in the moment. So the actually no, you know what, the whales, as I've put it on here. You know what, I'm gonna fix something just because it's been bugging me this whole time, is that I don't actually have the start point at the beginning. So let's do that. Okay, so the whales were actually in place. I forgot about that. and that is these guys left and right. So what I had for a year or so was this. Alright, so let's loop these down so we can actually listen to them. So yeah, both of these I think I treated the same. No, actually, the right one I reverbed that also. So yeah, I just smashed the heck out of these with the pulverizer, and then ran them through the same echo that I ran the guitars through. Those are all the same settings. And then I reverbed the right one just to kind of give it a different texture. So let's hear real quick. I think these are gated also. Yeah, most everything from here on out is gated, just because I'm working in a noisy environment. And in fact, these whales are low passed as well. And that's how you get kind of the. And they were just a little too upfront when they were like that, so I just rolled them off at 2K. Yeah, 2-ish K. And right side went down to 1.5K. Just to kind of get them out of the way bandwidth wise so you could hear other stuff better, because they don't need to be a main thing. They need to sit behind the slap. I wanted the slap to stand out as much as possible. Also, the main guitar part is really, it's very mid and higher and kind of jangly. So I wanted those to stay out of the way, and that's why I low passed those. So then I came back, and probably the first thing I added was the bass. So I was still going without vocals, but I came in and did the bass lines because I had the rough structure of where I wanted to go with this song. I just hadn't figured it out yet. So I just came in with some DI'd bass. I've got a Fender Squier 60s vibe. 60s, I think it's 60s vibe. Anyway, it's a pretty inexpensive jazz bass that I'd kept my eye on for a little while, and I'd always liked how they'd sounded, but also I'm not a bass player, so I was really talking out of my butt. But I liked how they sounded, and more importantly, I liked how they were priced. And I went to a pawn shop, and I'm going to restart this real quick. I went to a pawn shop and found one for, I think it was $150. So that was a pretty legit purchase there. Really simple bass. Pretty sure that is. Yeah, so these are not gated, but they are compressed on track. And I actually have two bass parts. There's the verse bass, and then that leads into kind of a chorus harmony bass. And my dogs are barking. I'm gonna let them in. And that bass was DI'd through a Golden Age Pre 73, which I really, really enjoyed as a bass DI. I really like how it sounds. I ended up going through kind of a gear purge, and I ended up getting rid of it, which it's probably one of the only pieces of gear I've gotten rid of that I really liked the specific use. I got rid of it because I'd gotten a good deal on it, and as far as like high gain microphone application, man, that's not me. I don't need to hear anything in my room. I don't need to pump anything crazy. I'm using a Beta 58A for my condenser that I'm using on everything. Condenser. Sorry, dynamic that I'm using on everything. So I'm not super concerned about getting a million gain, and I just figured I'd go ahead and cash out what I had in it. But I ringing endorsement for the Golden Age Pre 73 as far as bass DI goes. I really liked how it sounded. So yeah, that's the bass part. Um, so I ended up writing the lyrics, melody, and recording the main verse, and then all of the vocal parts at the end. So that's eight different parts at the end. While I was away for a work conference, I'd gone back to my room and I was just sort of in the right mind, and I'd taken a Rode USB like podcaster with me, just because I knew it would be the easiest way to record anything if I ended up having any time to work on vocals at all. And yeah, it ended up working out really well. I've sold that mic now just because my use case for it was really, really limited. But it is actually what recorded these last 8 little parts. I just cleaned those up a little bit and kept those because they worked, and I just recorded them sequentially as I was going. And these aren't even trimmed up that much. I think, yeah, they're all gated. So I just didn't go in and trim them because I just don't need to. Now, one thing I noticed on the full listen through is I'm not actually sure this is the final vocal that I ended up mixing with. Because it's possible, like this was originally called thumps because I'd started just with those thumps and guitar part. I think that for the final work, basically I'd done all this work and then I made a new copy of the session and re-recorded the main vocal. I think. I can't 100% say this is the main vocal that stayed, but I can promise the effects and everything are the same. Because I literally just copied the session when I worked on it. So this isn't the exact vocal I went with, but the treatment of it's basically the same. This is all KSM 27. For the time I recorded it, then that would have been the Golden Age Pre 73 that I went through. So, boy, I'm using the word a lot. What are you honking about, pup? Sorry, one of my pups is making weird noise. Okay, so keep saying good grief. This main vocal is actually a direct copy. Is that right? Yeah, this main vocal is a direct copy of the Whales. It just has the reverb turned down quite a bit. Yeah. Yep, everything else the same. So, let's listen to that real quick. I'll jump down a little ways so we can hear just the main vocals and then the trailing vocals. I'll probably spend a little time on those.
I hate it so, but I
So you got the echo and the
don't
verb in there.
know how to let it go. I know.
I'm pretty sure this is not the take I went with, but still, it gives you a real close idea, both echo and the reverb. This is the part that I was most excited about, is these last parts.
To let the quiet go. I've got to let the quiet go.
pretty sure these are direct copies.
to let the quiet go. I've got to let quiet go. I've got to let it go.
So yeah, these were all copies of the lead vocal effect-wise. So again, echo and reverb.
Quiet's gone. I've got to let the quiet go.
And then, I went back on the whole mix afterwards and did some light compression and limiting just to bring the volume up. But in this case, I did actually bounce down using the Reason compression. Minus almost 15, just 2-to-1, with quite a bit of makeup. Just because I recorded relatively quietly overall. I mean, the thumps, of course, are a little louder, but yeah, I've just found recording more quietly, just, track after track, once you keep adding it up all together. I just like how it sounds a lot more. I know there's a technical reason behind that, but I can't really explain it all. So, anyway, there it is right there. That's pretty much the entire track. I guess if you have any further questions, hit me up on Twitter at NoahTMusic. Go listen to my stuff. It's on Spotify. If you want to find me on Spotify more easily, I created a link. If you just go to spotify.noahtmusic.com, that'll take you directly to my Spotify page. If you want to pick up some of my music, it's on iTunes and Spotify, and it's really on most stores. You can get it from Amazon. Yeah, and if you do want to pick up any music, picking it up at Noah T Music is my preferred place, just because I get to see that you bought it, and it has the biggest share back to me. And essentially you buy an album and you're buying me a beer, and that's cool. So, if anybody has any more questions, I'll probably do some walkthroughs on other songs, just because this is kind of fun. Just because I haven't revisited these songs since I released them. So, anyway, there we go. Have fun.